Hello, you're watching Special Dialogue here on TVRI World. I'm Rahmat Idris. Over the 75 years of its relations, Indonesia and India have both enjoyed such amazing and interesting times together within diplomatic relations and bilateral cooperation as well. And as an extended hands of Indonesian governments over in India, the Embassy of Indonesia in New Delhi plays an essential and a significant role in continuing to foster these bilateral and diplomatic ties. For this very special editions of Special Dialogue, we are going to be in conversations with the ambassador of Indonesia to India over in New Delhi. This is Special Dialogue. And now I am extremely honored to be joined virtually all the way from the Embassy of Indonesia in New Delhi, India, by the Ambassador of Indonesia to India, Her Excellency Ina Hagni Ningtyas Krishnamurti. A very good day to you, Madam Ambassador. Such a delight and pleasure to see you again. Thank you so much for making the time for TVRI World.
It's truly a pleasure to see you, although on this time online. So, Pak Rahmat, looking forward to welcome you again to Delhi whenever it is possible for you to travel.
And although we are far away, it feels close. We've met each other before, and we wish you were here. But we know that you are delivering such a noble duty over in India for Indonesia. Just to deep dive into our first topic of bilateral relations. For over 75 years, I mentioned at my opening the relations that we have shared with India. From all of these many decades, your ambassador, please walk us through some of the most important highlights of our relations with India.
Pak Rahmat, it's truly a pleasure for me to share with TVRI the story of India and Indonesia relationship. As you may know, recently in January, end of January 2025, President Prabowo came to India to become the chief guest or the main guest of the Republic Day celebration. And also participated during that day is 352 troops and also soldiers and also students from the military academy in the parade of the Republic Day. It is the seriously the cherry on top of our 75 years celebrations of diplomatic relations, because in 1950, President Sukarno, our first president, was the also chief guest, the first chief guest of the first Republic Day of India, and marking the 75th anniversary of bilateral relations is more aptly cherry on top for both of us, that President Prabowo attended the Republic Day. And during those celebration, also the President Prabowo met with many distinguished partners of the president, which is the Prime Minister, President Murmu, and many of the ministers and also business people. And during that particular state visit, both leaders signed or witnessed many signing of documents, very important ones, one of which are health and or digitalization. And very important to understand that during the 75 years of diplomatic relations, it is in 2023 only that we have the direct flights established between Indonesia and India, which is between Delhi to Denpasar and also from Mumbai to Jakarta. So it is maybe for some people it's very minimum direct flights, but for us at the embassy, it is truly the high achievement of the embassy. Secondly, if you may remember, in 22 we are the president of G20. We hold the presidency of G20, and 2023 India is holding the presidency of G20. So it's back to back, and at the same time in 2023 is also very important year for us because we are the chair of ASEAN. So many intertwined, interconnected point in our history during these 3-4 years. At the same time, we also reach very high in economic relations. One of the numbers that I can mention is the 29 billion US dollars trade relations between the two countries, and the second highest achievement of both our country is the signature or the signing of the local currency transaction agreement in beginning of 2024. So many kind of achievements that we have done during the past 3 to 4 years.
Right. And it also marks your stewardship, your years of service over the Embassy of Indonesia and India, Madam Ambassador, if I may add to that. And it is indeed a cherry on top, being a chief guest or guest of honor over the Republic Day of India, if we may say. And all the visuals coming in from that particular visit were just mesmerizing indeed. But what follows through, you also mentioned briefly, is all of the agreements of cooperations that we need to further establish with India. So what are the key highlights other than the health and economic and trade agreements that we've made so far down the line, moving forward, Madam Ambassador?
So I think we have to also mention about geographical situation of both countries. Indonesia is the biggest country in Southeast Asia, and India is the biggest country in South Asia. That's maybe we need to highlight that first. Secondly, we also share the same values and principles when it comes to democracy. Being the largest democracy, democracy in the world, and we are the fourth largest democracy in the world. So there are shared values and principles between both countries. At the same time, like I said, geographically, we are also a very close neighbor of India. If one day we have a direct flight from Aceh to Andaman Nicobar Islands, only take 1 hour flights from both points. So it shows how close proximity the two countries is. So that is why the way forward, we have to focus on many pillars of the cooperation, be it in political, be it the economy, and as well, for me, the most importantly is the people-to-people connect, people-to-people contact. And one of the issues of interest between both is how to understand each other more and better, because I think not so many people in Indonesia know that we are the neighboring country of India, as well as in India. Many people do not understand or do not know that Indonesia is the neighboring country because it divides by the Indian Ocean.
Madam Ambassador, we'll take a short break. We'll return after a few minutes right here on Special Dialogue here on TVI World. Stay with us. And you're still watching Special Dialogue here on TVO Our World. We are still further discussing ways to further foster relations of Indonesia and India by speaking to the Ambassador of Indonesia to India, joining us all the way from the Embassy of Indonesia in New Delhi, Her Excellency in Hagnining Tias Krishna Murthy. Madam Ambassador, thank you very much for staying with me. In this next segment, I'd like to echo again what you have said earlier, the fact that we share from geographical perspective, we share maritime borders. India and Indonesia both are maritime powers, and we share this very strategic location being in the Indo-Pacific, if I may say, that attracts a lot of global powers to sort of insert their influence into the regions. How do you think our positions within these regions will further contextualize the ways we foster relations with India on behalf of Indonesian government?
I think I should start with the similarities of thinking between the two countries. As you may know, India is the main supporter of the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. And at the same time, when they established the what they call AOI, APOI, the Indo-Pacific in Indian Ocean, it is truly a magnificent point in our history, both Indonesia and India, when we shared the same view on, how to have or establish a regional stability and the free flow of economic collaboration. So both sides understand that there is a need or priority need to maintaining a secure and rules-based maritime order. And you have to understand, again, I want to go back to the geographical situation of both countries. We have choke points in Malacca Strait, and also India have Andaman Sea. So we are not competing each other. We need to make sure that the deepening of information sharing, conducting joint exercise, building capacity. It is very important to for both sides to maintain secure and rules-based maritime order. And secondly, you have to understand that when it comes to securing the border, it's the basically principal interest of both sides. So looking ahead, I think what we see in our evolving partnership is not about only to addressing immediate security threats, but also about to build a stable, prosperous, and this is the word that President Prabowo always continuously repeating, which is inclusive Indo-Pacific for generations to come. So the building blocks are there, be it in defense, be it in security dialogue, but more importantly, we need to we both need to be able to achieve what we envision for the Indo-Pacific region.
Madam Ambassador, I'd like to echo again what you said earlier from President Prabowo Subianto of Indonesia, saying that the 75-year relations that we have with Indonesia is one of the main reasons that we personally attended the Republic Day over in New Delhi back in January this year, which sort of established what we're going to go with moving forward in terms of fostering our relations with India. And on that note, Madam Ambassador, I'd like to highlight my conversations with the Ambassador of India to Indonesia, His Excellency Chakravorty, a while back here in Jakarta. We further mentioned that the possibility that we need to learn from our Indian counterparts in terms of building information technology and artificial intelligence is all the rage right now. Mumbai is one of the pivotal beacons in the region of Asia, if we may say that. From your perspective, Madam Ambassador, how much can we learn from our Indian counterparts to further build our technological resilience and development moving forward?
I think I I want to bring you and also the audience to the understanding of digitalization. We need to see digitalization in two-pronged approach. One is the output, and second is outcome, and third is the process. So when we talk about sectoral issues, it can be also talking about digitalization as a process. So digitalization is not only about the output or outcome, but it's also about the process. On that note, I want to highlight what we have discussed during the leaders meeting, which is the 5 issues. One is the renewable energy. Second is when we talk about renewable energy, of course, we will talk about sustainability, environment, and so forth. Digital economy and innovation, you mentioned about it. And to highlight this, we need to also mention about, that's why I highlight the process. Because in the process, we also need to talk about cybersecurity, the youth, the young population. Both of us, 60% of our population is youth, young generation. So we also need to talk about young generation. And then if you draw the line of young population, you talk about education. So please, I want to also attract you and the audience to understand that digitalization is not a sector. It's an output, an outcome, and also a process. So when I mention health, that means also digitalization of health. When I mention about renewable energy, maybe some sort of understanding on digitalization into how to understand the sustainable development, so forth. So that's my take on it, Pak Rahmat, I think.
We are going to take another quick break on our special dialogue. Madam Ambassador, do stay with us when we return in just a few minutes, right here on TVI World. Welcome back to Special Dialogue here on TVI World. I am still in conversation with the Ambassador of Indonesia to India, joining me all the way from our embassy in New Delhi. Ambassador Ina, thank you so much for staying with me for the final segment of our conversations, how time flies. For this particular segment, I'd like to highlight the relations, as you said it previously, people-to-people relations between Indonesia and India. And just last month in June, if I may highlight that particular moment, when you sort of inaugurated a number of Indonesian students graduating from universities in India. A lot of big hopes and expectations there. If you may share with us the key highlights of those moments and your hopes for more Indonesian students and vice versa, India and to Indonesia, to further establish our education cooperation.
Of course, it's very interesting that you mentioned the graduation. The graduation is not graduation per se, but it's a ceremony to say farewell to the students. Because they don't have convocation here. They don't experience the graduation that we experience in Indonesia. So the embassy took the initiative to kind of holding it for them and their family. Even some parents came and brothers and sisters also online joining. So it's kind of a very heartfelt event for everyone, including myself. Secondly, on the students, I would like to encourage many high schooler or even fresh graduate from bachelor degree to continue their study in India, especially because India currently is the highest, I think the highest, they're having highest number of coders. So that means it shows how the education system in India focusing on digitalization and as well as building partnership with other countries so that other countries also enjoying the education system, especially on digitalization. And thirdly, on the hopes that you mentioned, my hopes, and I keep repeating myself every time I met the students, that they need to become the ambassador of the relationship between India and Indonesia, a bridge between civilizations. For 2 millennia, both countries, we know each other for 2 centuries, but yet even this phrase of India as the neighboring country still having a question mark in so many forum when I said it. So I keep telling them that they need to become the ambassador to build more stronger bridge between Indonesia and India. And fourthly, if I may say so, Rahmat, rather than focusing on having a difficulty of education in Indonesia, please, if someone or some youngsters wants to go to school abroad, learning a school from the point of view English language, India may be the best option there is, because they offer scholarship, I think almost 1,000 per year, but we cannot even reach the number of 100 up until now for the scholarship awardees. So I would like to urge the young generation, high schooler, or even the fresh graduate from a bachelor degree, to come to India, apply for the scholarship so that they can go to school in India.
Right. So a lot to learn from, and there are plenty of opportunities and potentials to explore there in India. Very well said there, Madam Ambassador. But I'd like to also pivot to the fact that Indonesia and India, we share many semblances of similarities, if we may say, Madam Ambassadors, the cuisine, the culture, the art. We have our own version of Ramayana dance, for example. They have their own and very deity, very godlike sort of sense to it. How do you think these similarities will play into shaping our relations with India?
May I be frank with you, Parahman? Sometimes, you know, people dwell with the past and they forget about the future. I mentioned throughout my talk with you, I mentioned about how important to build further the relationship. I talk about traffic. I talk about people-to-people connect. So the future is all about looking ahead. Like you mentioned about how strong India is in digitalization. I mentioned about renewable energy and sustainability, because India is also one of the biggest currently producer of solar panels. So I think the future needs to be more focused on what we can achieve as complementary nations in a way of based on building what you mentioned, 2 millennia of relationship. To the business community, I think the next decade holds immense potential. Our economies, you heard everywhere that we are both going to be the 5 biggest economies in the world. Our economies, of course, will be more dynamic, and our markets are large. We are the largest in Southeast Asia. India is the largest in the world now. Our visions for inclusive growth align. We have Indonesia Emas 2045. India has Fixed Bharat 2047. We envision ourselves to be developed countries after 100 years independence. So I think I would like to encourage business community to look beyond traditional sectors and explore new areas like digital innovation, green energy, sustainable infrastructure, creative industries. So the time is to ripe for joint ventures, technology partnership, and of course, cross-border investment.
Right. Well, Your Excellency, correct me if I'm wrong, but you took the assignment. You were appointed as the ambassador to India back in 2021. So meaning that in the 4th years of your stewardship in India now, walk us through some of the key highlights and things that you find you were most fond of during your service in India. And lastly, if you may deliver some sort of message to our younger generations here in Indonesia, what would that be, Madam Ambassador?
My biggest take on my posting in India as an Indonesian ambassador is how close we are. And I mentioned this many times. But at the same time, I see that how close we are approximately, geographically, culturally, historically, it has become a challenge because we keep, if it is a vehicle, we keep looking at the rear glass, right? We keep looking at the past. Now we need to look at the future. That is why we established the local currency transaction agreement, the direct flights. That is for the future. My biggest take also is how similar, you mentioned this because you've been here, how similar we are in unity in diversity. When you talk about Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, they have Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So many similarities that makes you wonder what else that we can do with India. And that is what, that goes to my last message that you request. That being said, Indonesians who engage more deeply with India often come away with great admiration for India's civilizational depth, or scientific achievements, or vibrant democracy, or achievement in economy and development. And also we need to, at the same time, better well equipped to understand what India is in terms of perception and pick and choose information that you see it is positive for building our relationship going forward. That is why I said the role of students as diplomats or business people as bridge builders are very important to foster deeper understanding and correct accuracies of what is happening in Indonesia and as well in India. And at the end of the day, it will promote the true spirit of partnership between our two great nations.
Well, Madam Ambassador, this has been a delight and an honor of mine. There's never been enough time to talk to you, but alas, it's a time constraint. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank again the Ambassador of Indonesia to India, joining us all the way from New Delhi, Her Excellency Ina Hagnining Tias Krishnamurti. Thank you very much, Shukriya, for your time and your insights, Madam Ambassador.
Thank you, Danyama. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Well, that concludes our special dialogue here on TVO World. I'm Rahmat Idris. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.